Hi, my name is Steve Snap, and I recently wrote a blog about how to reduce risk and maximize success when implementing CRM or Salesforce.com. And in the blog, I talked about this story. I was sitting with my daughter a couple weeks ago, and I was explaining to her a new business that had started in town. And I was explaining to her that the owners of that new business were probably staying up late, probably working late into the night, probably worrying about various details of their business. And I was trying to explain to her what it meant to, my daughter's 5, by the way, what it means to stay up all night or to be worrying about an issue. And that got me thinking about this sort of sense that I get from a lot of customers when I talk to them about this, feeling in their gut that they're spending a lot of money on CRM and they're not necessarily getting a lot of value. And so I started thinking about some of the things that we do in our business to help our clients reduce risk and and also ways to maximize success. And I thought I'd just sort of write a quick blog about it and talk about it in the video. I think that as I describe this, I think there's sort of two main ideas here. The first big idea is that if you're maximizing your likelihood of success in a way that's reducing risk, because your confidence level is much higher that you're going to succeed. And at the same time, if there's deliberate things that you can do to reduce risk, and you do those together with maximizing your success likelihood, then you've got a really good strategy, or a really good approach, I should say. So then I started thinking about, well, what are some of the key elements of maximizing your success? And I realized that those tend to be more strategic, either mindset ideas or ways of approaching an overall project. And then there's some specific tactics that you can use to reduce risk. And so I thought I'd run through those. So what I'm going to do here is start with those things that you can do and those philosophies or mindsets that you can have that will dramatically improve your likelihood of success. And then I'll end this by just talking about things that you can do to reduce your risk. So under this idea of maximizing success, there's really 4 main ideas. The first one is what I call solutions, not features. Number 2 is give to get. Number 3 is decide quickly. And number 4 is identify user resistance. So let me go through each of these real quick. So what solutions, not features means is focus on identifying very clear problems that you're going to solve with a solution like Salesforce. So I say solutions, not features, because Salesforce is full of a tremendous number of features, and they're really great technology features. But features aren't what really solve problems, it's solutions. Now those solutions might use those features, but if you are very clear on the problem you're solving, and you are very deliberate about using certain features to solve that problem, then you have a solution. So you're not buying a list of features and spending money potentially on capabilities you don't need. You're clearly zeroing in on those things that are affecting your business, and then you're deliberately deciding how you're going to solve that problem with a specific feature set. So the second part of that was give to get. And I could go on for about an hour on this subject, but the idea here is that a lot of people buy Salesforce.com because they want better reporting. And the problem with that assumption is that the people who need to provide the data that you want better reporting on are usually your users or your salespeople. And so now what you're doing is you're buying a technology feature or a capability so that you can get better reporting, rather than, like I said in the previous issue, of solving a problem. So if you solve a problem that a specific user has or a group of users, and you're giving them that solution, you will get value back from them. So the give to get is basically give your users real solutions to real problems that they have, and then you will get information back. Now that might be activity information, it might be other data, it might be whatever, but if you're really solving their problems, they're going to be eager to use the technology that you're implementing. And so you're helping to solve their problem, and in return, you get value from it. The third issue was decide quickly. Teddy Roosevelt said the best decision you can make is the right decision. The next best decision is the worst decision, and the worst decision is no decision at all. And so one of the things that I encourage people to do is make decisions quickly about capabilities and solutions like I described in the first 2 points. And if you make the wrong decision, make a decision quickly to recover from that decision. But the point is, because Salesforce enables such rapid prototyping, make decisions quickly, move forward quickly, solve problems quickly. And if you didn't quite get it or you didn't quite solve the problem the way that you thought you would, then make a decision quickly to fix it. So from a philosophy point of view, if you're making decisions quickly and you're moving forward with momentum, you have momentum to recover from a bad decision. And I don't want to make this all about bad decisions, because the benefit of making decisions quickly is most of the time you're making a good decision or the right decision, and so you'll benefit from that momentum. The final point under this idea of maximizing success is identifying areas of user resistance. Now this kind of fits in with this idea of solving problems and being really, really clear on the problem you're solving. But I think when you look at it from a user adoption point of view or a change management point of view, what you're really looking for is, in addition to solving people's problems, what other things are you going to be dealing with? What other resistance will you be identifying? Focus on identifying those areas. And they might not be specific problems, but it's very similar to identifying a problem. You want to be very, very deliberate about solving those issues. And there's all kinds of other things that come out of that, by the way. There's training opportunities and there's all these other things that you'll be doing because you've been really, really effective at identifying areas of user resistance. So that summarizes sort of the strategic side of how do you think about Salesforce and how do you think about the change that you're creating and how do you solve those problems. Let's take a second and talk about ways that you can reduce risk. So as I said in my intro, the issues or the items that involve reducing your risk tend to be more tactical. So the maximizing success tends to be more thought process or more mindset. These tend to be a little bit more tactical and a little bit more specific. So there's 3 key components that I recommend for people to reduce their risk. The first one is to do what I call prototype and trial. Number 2 is reduce your license costs. And number 3 is what I call opinions, not options. So number 1 is prototype and trial. Usually speaking, you can get a free trial if you're talking with a direct Salesforce rep. We have a whole separate video that we call risk-free prototyping that I'll link in this video, and you can certainly go into more detail about that. But the big idea is do as much prototyping as you can before you spend any money. Now, prototyping and trial means actually taking the Salesforce platform, developing the solutions that you've clearly identified, like I talked about earlier, and then actually deciding how you're going to solve that and develop the solution or create the solution for that specific problem. Then, with a prototype in hand, you can then expose your users, or maybe your small team of users. You can then have them work through those issues and verify and validate that that problem has actually been solved. What we're doing when we prototype and trial is we're dramatically increasing our confidence level that number 1, we've clearly identified the problem, and then number 2, we've clearly solved it. So do everything you can to do as much prototyping in the trial phase before you spend any money on licenses. Now, as I said, I have another video that I call risk-free prototyping. And in that video, I talk not only about how to prototype in a trial mode, but also how to actually leverage the capabilities of your partner and in a way leverage their expertise and have them help you in the prototyping process without necessarily spending a lot of money. Now, the second part of reducing your risk is to reduce your license costs. And there's sort of 2 key elements to this. The first one is make sure you wait until the last possible minute to purchase the licenses that you need. Now, when I talked about prototyping and trial, my assumption there was that you hadn't spent any money on licenses. But once you go live with your first phase, then you'll have additional phases. Well, you can wait to purchase those licenses for those additional phases until the last possible minute, until you actually need them. But the other thing that I talk about in some of our other videos is selecting the right license type. So not only in the risk-free prototyping video, but also in some of our other content where we talk about our platform partnership, we talk about this idea of using the Salesforce license known as the Salesforce Platform License. And the idea with the Salesforce Platform License is that it's a much less expensive license. It allows you to do all the prototyping and customization and configuration that you would want, but it does it at a much lower price point. So I will include a link to our other video there about our platform partnership program, and you can learn more about how we leverage that license. But the main idea is that you want to purchase the license that meets your needs at the immediate level, and then you can obviously up-select from there. Now, an interesting side note about the platform license is that we find that 90% of our clients never actually need to up-select into a more expensive license type. So watch that video when you get a second. You'll learn more about the dollars that we're talking about and more of the advantages there. But the big idea with reducing your license cost is don't buy licenses until you need them, and buy a license that enables you to do what you absolutely need to do in this particular moment. And then if you need other capabilities, you can always upselect. And then finally, I talk about opinions, not options. Now, what I'm really getting at here is similar to what I talked about under the Maximize Success. But when you partner with a consulting firm, such as ourselves, I strongly recommend that you empower them. And I don't know how exactly you want to say this to them, but you basically want them to give you recommendations and opinions on how to solve the problems that you've worked with them to identify. Now, what I mean by this is for years, as a consultant, I would share multiple options with my customer. They would describe a problem and we'd say, you could do it this way, you could do it that way. And I'd go through all the pros and cons. And what I was really doing there was I was wasting their time and my time, and I was pushing the risk onto them. I wanted them to make the decision, although I never really thought of it that way. But what I was really doing was I was putting the pressure on them to make the quote-unquote best decision. Now, what I've since learned is that I'm not really hired to provide a list of options. I'm hired to provide a solution and to make a recommendation that when you have this problem, you solve it this way, and you use these features and you do it this way, and decisions made, we move forward. That's why in the earlier section I said make decisions quickly, because you can always come back and tweak things when you learn more. But if you're sitting there hemming and hawing over all these features, you're going to be wasting time. And frankly, your consultant's putting a lot of risk on you rather than shouldering a lot of that. So in close, I know, as I was telling my daughter, a lot of people worry and stay up. But what I told her was the best way to get some sleep is be super clear on identifying the problems that are keeping you awake, develop a plan, and then move forward. And most importantly, get some sleep. So with that said, I'd like to just thank you for taking a few minutes to watch this video. If you like the video, please select the like button. Also, please consider subscribing to our channel where you'll get weekly updates as we add new videos and new content. If you feel inclined, please add a comment. We'd like to collaborate with you and comment with you and communicate with you via the comments. And you'll also find a link to my calendar in the description where you can schedule some time if you'd like to talk through a specific issue that you're dealing with and you want to talk through some of the concepts that we share in this video and some others. We look forward to talking with you. Thank you so much.